Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to your favorite show on earth. Yes, this is the Memo. You have the same guys, not as always, but as last episode, you have Richard Lyons, Matthew Brodsky, and Yigal Harari. Today, we're going to talk about the big event that just happened this past weekend. We had the NFL draft. Round of applause. Great show, great show. I know as a Jets fan, I was very happy with it, and we're going to go over the Jets picks. We'll talk a little bit about the Giants picks, our local teams. Maybe we'll talk a bit about, some other picks we liked in the draft. And then, any thoughts on that stem off of that conversation. And then, as Yigal is representing in his attire, we're going to talk about your New York Knicks setting the world on fire. They're looking really good as opposed to my Los Angeles Lakers, who have looked absolutely terrible. So, talk about something fun.
Something we never thought we would say at this point.
Yep. But we'll see what happens. So, started off. Let's go to the NFL draft. What do you guys think of the weekend? Did you enjoy seeing it back in person again? Did you care at all?
No, the draft. It's such a fun event. The NFL draft. There's just so many converging storylines that all basically kind of get settled because you spend what feels like the past 3 months almost hearing about players and hearing about what teams are going to do with their picks and trades happen and things of that nature. Just things are all building up to this climax that is the first round of the NFL draft. And then it just so many questions get answered and so many things that you have been wondering and thinking about are finally into reality. So it was fun. It was great to actually get answers to a lot of the questions that we were talking about, but leading up to it. And as always, the draft delivered for me. I know two Jet fans here must be pretty happy with how their day went. I know one specifically, Mr. Yigal, had been pounding the table for Zach Wilson since the season ended. So, Yigal, how do you feel coming out of this?
I am feeling very good, feeling very confident. It just seems like we finally got our guy. And honestly, we got some good protection around him, and we got more weapons around him to, help him like we haven't helped Sam in the past. Like this team it actually feels like they are trying to put a real team around him so that he has an actual chance to succeed. And that's why I think that this kid will do it. He just screams talent. I can't even explain to you. I just very confident player, quick release. I'm super happy to have Zach Wilson on the Jets. I honestly, I feel so terrible saying this, but I want him over Trevor Lawrence the whole time.
Okay. You guys gushing over this pick here.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know what to say.
Because he just fills every box. I feel like he's like the new type. Like there's like a new type of quarterback coming into this league, like with the Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, like all these guys. And I just feel like he fits it. And also I feel that he's the perfect fit for the Jets because he fits their scheme perfectly. The West Coast offense, Shanahan offense. So,
yeah. And I know, Richard, you're going to have a lot. Whoa.
What? You all right?
I was on NFL.com trying to look at the picks, and a video just started playing of some guy talking, and it really scared me. I thought it was you. No, I was going to say that, Yigal, the biggest thing that you said, and this is my biggest takeaway from if we're talking specifically with the Jets draft is, I have my reservations as I do with any rookie quarterback. I have my reservations about Zach Wilson, and maybe in a vacuum, wasn't crazy about him being the pick. But to Richard's point that he actually made, we spoke about this off air before the show a couple of days ago, the supporting cast that they're building around Zach Wilson is the most encouraging part of that. So whether or not you're like Yigal, who is head over heels in love with Zach Wilson, or if you're more, skeptical about it, like you, Richard, I know that you weren't crazy about him leading up to it. At the very least, what you have to appreciate and look forward to is that he is in a way better position than Sam Darnold ever was. And that's the ultimate point, that really any rookie quarterback who's picked that high can succeed in the right system.
Yeah. Exactly what Matt just said, as we were talking about this. And, the reason I wasn't in love with Zach Wilson, and still I'm having my reservations, not that I don't like him and think he's going to be bad, I'm just not hyping myself up just yet, is I didn't get as into the draft process this year as I usually do, and especially as much as in 2018 with that whole Darnold class, Baker, Allen, Rosen, all those guys. I really dove into all those guys, and obviously I was wrong. I wanted Darnold. I didn't even think we'd end up with him. Whatever. I thought he was going to be really good. So I just didn't go into it this year. It was too much for me. I didn't want to deal with it after such a disappointing season. And I did say to Matt the other day, and I said it to you, Yigal, I think as well. He already has a better O-line, weapons, and coaching staff than Darnold ever had, and he hasn't taken a snap. He hasn't stepped on the field for the team. And that's really encouraging. You look at the group of pass catchers with Davis, Mims, Crowder, and now this guy Moore, who the Jets, when they picked him, they were going nuts. They were showing them in the war room, and I was like, who'd they take? What are they going to say right now? And they were going crazy for him. And I read a little bit about him. He seems like he's a really good fit. You got this guy, Michael Carter from UNC. He looks like he fits that Shanahan offense, that one cut, quick, get up the field type of back. He's really fast. You can throw him the ball. But yeah, I mean, one of the craziest stats that I heard was, we picked Becton last year. We picked Vera-Tucker this year in the first round. That's 2 first-round, offensive line draft picks by Joe Douglas already. And in the past 20 years, the only other 2 offensive linemen they picked in the first round were Mangold and Ferguson in the same draft in 2006. So,
that's crazy.
It's just a clear sign already that, this front office has a different idea of how they want to build the team. And it's really cool to see, and I'm excited. I am excited to watch this team. I'm hoping we're finally at least an entertaining offense. Yeah,
and that's exactly what I think that we will be. We'll be entertaining. It'll be fun to watch. I don't think it's going to be the same old Jets anymore. I really believe that it's they just have. I just feel like they already have that excitement building up, and it's in the building. Players can feel it. You can see it on Zach Wilson, bro. When he was walking down the stage, he was slapping fans' hands as hard as he could. He was hype. He was hype.
He was definitely hype. And I heard him on the K show, and he sounds like a good kid. Good head on his shoulders. Except he said his favorite artist is Chris Brown. So
what? I thought it was Justin Bieber. It was Justin Bieber. They
said, "What type of music do you listen to?" And he was like, I really love Chris Brown, that R&B type. Slow, whatever. So, dock a few points there, but
yeah, that is an interesting choice to go with. No, but to your point about Elijah Moore and how excited the Jets draft room was when that pick went through, he was a guy that a lot of people thought would go round 1. And again, I'm not going to pretend to be this draft scout expert that knows all these players and that, but I know at least where certain guys had been expected to be drafted just from reading and reading mock drafts and hearing conversation around the league. And it was a bit of a surprise that he wasn't picked towards the end of the first round. So being able to pick him there at the top of the second round and give a nice automatic weapon right out the gate to pair with Zach Wilson to let them grow together, I thought was a great move. And because I thought, with what they were going to do, what was the other first? They had the 23rd pick before they traded it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I thought that they'd be looking receiver at that point. So being able to trade up to 14 and even still keep the second round pick, I thought was a great move. And being able to get a weapon like that is really good. Now, is he more of a slot receiver? Is he going to be stepping into Crowder's snap count?
That's what they classify him as. But what he said in his interview is he's a receiver and he's going to do whatever the team needs him to do. So,
I listened a lot to the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. They're really good. Those 2 guys. They weren't talking about him really like a slot receiver. They really like his game downfield and how they said, when he's running into the catch, he never has to slow down. He never has to speed up. He's always perfect speed right into the catch. Really good at timing the ball. He catches with his hands. And, a lot of people saying they can use him in that sort of Deebo Samuel type role, like hit him on screens, do a bunch of different types of things with him. He's not like pure gadget player. I think he's a little more than that. Like he's an actual receiver, but he is small. He's like a little under 5. He's like 5'9"
He's
and
5'3"
or something like.
Yeah,
so he's like
crazy.
Almost 5'10", but
interesting.
That's not as important nowadays. I feel like a lot of it is scheming, getting open. Obviously, and even Douglas said this actually in an interview. He was like, obviously, there is a prototype receiver that everyone looks for, but those type of guys. Like a Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson, AJ Green, that mold, they're hard to come by. Mm-hmm. So like they're still effective players at whatever size.
For sure. Yeah. There are a lot of guys nowadays that are having success not being the traditional size wide receiver that we're used to. But I'm seeing he ran a 4.35 also, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And, so he seems like a guy, maybe just line him up and do a bunch of different things with him. And that's great for that offense.
I mean, what's good is that a lot of people on their draft board, they had Elijah Vera-Tucker. They had Elijah Moore in their top 20 on their overall big board. So it's kind of crazy how like the board does fall. And that's what Joe Douglas was saying in a lot of videos after, is like they just felt like the board was falling, like it was falling in the right direction. And like they got such high value picks at the positions that they had, even trading back. I'm pretty sure he said in one interview that at the 23rd pick, they were going to pick Elijah Moore. And and after they traded that pick to get Elijah Vera-Tucker at 14, he was just like, I was so scared that we were going to like lose you. And the fact that we had you at 34, they couldn't believe it. Like Richard said, like they were just hype about this pick. And honestly, I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt, you sorry about to go.
No, that explains the excitement to be able to, trade up and almost come to grips with the fact that you might be losing one of the guys that you're targeting, and then for him to still be on the board there. I mean, that's just a perfect scenario.
They have this is what I was hearing. They have what are called red star prospects on their board, which is basically like blue chip prospect, like their top guys that like they think are the best in the draft, and he was one of them. So to get him in the second round. And what I love really the most is that my biggest concern with the receiver group, and while I was happy with it even without this pick, I thought it was a solid group. If Mims progresses, Corey Davis coming off his best year, still a young player. He's like 26. Crowder, we know what he is. He's one of the best slot receivers in the league. But he's more quick than fast. Mims ran a 4.38, but he's not a burner down the field. Davis is more of an intermediate, big body type of guy. We didn't have that speed. We didn't have that, downfield threat to, take the top off the defense. And, now I think we have someone who can do that plus more. He's not a Robbie Anderson one-trick pony, or is Robbie one-trick pony? We saw him do a little more. I don't know. But he can take the top off a defense, and, we got that versatility in the room now. Now the tight end position remains to be seen. Will Chris Herndon bounce back? Is Tyler Kroft the starter? Is Ryan Griffin alive?
Is he still on the team?
Yeah. He's probably punching a window somewhere.
That's funny.
To be honest, they drafted an undrafted. They didn't draft him, but they picked up an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, like
who's also
or whatever.
It's Kevin Yeboah or something like that.
He's like the same thing. He's like Chris Herndon, like good,
he's
a good blocker, athletic, 6'5". If he is good, like if he can, develop, he could be good.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks what you were gonna say?
I don't know. I like obviously all the Jets draft picks. Like I watched film on all of them, and like listen, you watch highlights and stuff like that. They all look good, but like he just looked like he had. Like good potential, very good potential.
A lot of what's good is that it seems like the team is starting to get depth. That was always their biggest problem. Last year with the receivers, Mims, Perriman, Crowder still is not putting fear into anyone. But I think if they all are healthy, it could have been okay. But the thing is, Mims gets hurt, Perriman gets hurt, Crowder gets hurt, and now you have Berrios. I don't even know who. Lawrence Cager. I don't know who any of these guys are. Now you have Davis, Mims, Crowder, Moore, and then all those guys who were coming in as like now they're like instead of the 4th and 5th receiver, they're like the 6th and 7th receiver down the depth chart. You can maybe deal with it a little better.
Things are definitely looking like they're trending in the right direction. I mean, it's exciting as you can have as for a draft class, like we were talking about before we went on the air. Everybody gives their draft grades after the draft, immediate reaction. This team had the best draft. This team had the worst draft. Obviously, the play on the field will ultimately determine it. You're not going to know. You can't grade a draft class until, let's say, like 2-3 years down the road. But at least in the present, in the moment, you can get excited about certain picks, and you can obviously see the potential that the Jets are going to the season with all these young playmakers on offense. Now I know that they drafted obviously Elijah Vera-Tucker with their second first round pick, so you'd have to assume the left side of the line is looking fantastic. It's looking great right now.
Yeah.
What are we talking about for the right side of the line? Are there still some question marks there? I don't know if they made any big free agent signings. Did they?
So you go, Egal.
So there basically is still like holes over there. They're gonna have I think Font and Van Roden, I think, on that side. So they still need an upgrade over there. But I think that they're just going to run the ball heavy to the left side this year. Like if they're going to run the ball, like they're going left.
Yeah. So
there's no going right.
I think they still have high hopes for McGovern. I think McGovern's a fine piece in the middle there.
He's a center.
Yeah, I think you put Vera-Tucker next to him, and another a different system that I think is a better fit for him. There's like zone blocking system. I think that we'll see a better year bounce back from him. You see a lot of people bounce back when Adam Gase leaves. The good thing about Van Roten and Font on the right side is that they're both at least pretty capable pass blockers. I thought he was fine the whole year. Like I really don't mind him starting at right tackle. Van Roten's probably the worst on the line right now, but if we can fill that right guard spot with a guy like who we drafted last year in the top of the 4th round, Cam Clark, I think them not going after another guard at some point in the draft, especially in those later rounds when they had 2 4th-round picks, 2 5th-round picks, to sit like all these picks. They pick basically all defense except for the running back Carter. I think that says maybe they have some hope for him that he can compete on the right side, and if he can, great. If it's Van Roten, fine. But there's still work to be done there. It's not a finished product at all. I wouldn't be surprised with 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks next year if they added another guy to that O-line. But the ideal scenario is that Cam Clark can step in, and then you got Font as maybe your worst O-lineman, which I think any team in the world would take because he's not bad. He's just average.
Yeah, I mean you're not going to rebuild an entire line in one off season, even 2 off seasons, because I know some of those guys were from last year, but it's definitely a work in progress to get 5 good offensive linemen that you trust. So I mean it's moving in the right direction. He's a rookie, but what it seems about Vera-Tucker, everything that I'm hearing is that like he's just like so steady, such a steady. He's not boom or bust, and like not that he has a low ceiling or anything, but like everything about him is just so consistent. Like great technique, doesn't get penalties. He moves people in the run game. He's a great pass blocker. Like it seems like he's just a plug and play type of guy. I was gonna say plug and play. There it is.
I saw you smirking over there. I was like, what's he waiting for? So hopefully he can step in like Becton did day one and make a noticeable impact, and maybe they can pancake a few guys together along the way.
Yes. You love a plug and play guy on the offensive line. It's a true trademark of the Memo podcast.
Big plug and play podcast.
Egal is a little too new for that reference. He doesn't
way too new.
Because I mean, you're new to the show as a host, but God forbid you listen to the podcast every now and then. When you weren't on it, you would get it.
I've listened.
Yeah. Too busy betting on the Astros against the Yankees. How's that?
There you go.
I knew I'd squeeze it in there.
Squeeze.
We got a side note here. We're watching the Astros against the Yankees, their first game meeting up since the ALCS. And I do see Aroldis Chapman is warming up with a 4-run lead. So
oh, boy.
you're bringing him in with a comfortable lead. Things might get a little bit dangerous. So we'll keep an eye on that. But back to the point. Yeah, I do like the Vera-Tucker pick. Obviously, we talk about it on the podcast all the time. Like, an NFL team goes as far as their offensive line goes. And especially with a young quarterback, you can't have enough protection up front. So good on Joe Douglas for being aware of that and making the right picks there.
Yeah, and I know we don't usually do this, Matt, but your team as well threw a nice O-line pick for Mr. Herbert.
That is true, yes. Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. And I had been saying the whole time leading up to the draft, like we mentioned how we haven't been that involved in the pre-draft stuff, but it was very obvious the Chargers just needed a left tackle. So I was just, whoever the best tackle is on the board, pick him and move on. So I think that's what they did. We're happy about that. And people seem to really like that guy. So we'll see what happens.
I know everyone was, hoping for the bromance with Sewell, but.
When Cincinnati passed on him, I really thought we had a chance.
I was shocked the Lions took him, honestly. I mean, I guess they're punting quarterback down the road or they want to really see what they have with Goff, but I thought they were going to go Fields or even just another position.
Yeah, and because the thing is, as shitty of a team as they've been recently, Detroit, they do actually have a pretty strong offensive line. I guess, they had a hole at left tackle if they did pick Sewell, but I know that they have a good center and at least a couple good guards. But yeah, I was surprised by that. It seemed like in the reaction in their war room that he was the guy they wanted the whole time. So
yeah, don't they have Glasgow or whatever?
Frank Glass now, I think, or
yeah.
I don't know. There's some like household names.
Decker,
that yeah,
Decker or something.
But I also just think they drafted to pick the best player available at the time.
You can't go wrong with that.
Can't go wrong with that.
Drafting for need is tough because you're signing these guys for 5 years. You don't know what your needs are going to be in a year from now or 2 years from now. So if you just stack up the best football players possible as plug and play comes up behind Richard there, I think we should leave that the whole show. It's backwards though.
Oh, it's backwards for you?
It's mirrored, yeah.
For me, it's not.
But if you just pick the best football player whenever you're up at the draft, whenever you're on the clock, you can't go wrong.
There we go. It's better.
Damn it. The game ended. They're not bringing in Chapman.
Is it better now? No.
No.
No, it's still backwards.
That's weird.
Yeah,
so
overall,
let's
get off then.
Overall, love the Jets draft picks. I give them an A. I think a lot of people gave them, good grades on how they drafted.
Except Mel Kiper taking off a point because they didn't keep Sam Darnold, which is not a draft grade, sir.
He's honestly the worst. Retire.
He's like, I love everything about it, but they should have kept Sam Darnold. That's why instead of an A+, they get an A-. It's just like, is that part of the draft? They didn't draft Sam Darnold. That is an off-season move.
Kiper is an interesting character to say the least.
I don't hate it. Whatever. He's in the entertainment business.
He's been doing that job for over 35 years now, which is incredible to think about.
It just goes to show he knows nothing.
Imagine just every year you need to learn about 200 new players. And I know that's your obvious career, so he has all the time to do that. But just sitting there watching film on all these guys year after year after year, I mean, it must get tiring. I can't
imagine that it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm sure he gets paid very well, but
millions of dollars probably.
Yeah. All right, let's move to. I want to talk a little bit about the Giants draft for any of our New York Giants.
Just before we go, get well soon, Quinnen Williams. Broke surgery on a fractured bone in his foot. He'll be ready for training camp. Don't worry. All right, sorry.
He'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Leonard Williams would never break a bone in his foot, but
he already did.
Really?
The one I stomped on because he saw.
So, the thing about the Giants draft, I think the biggest takeaway, and we can talk about the wide receiver. I mean, none of us really know much about Tony. He seems like a good player. The biggest thing is that they traded back and acquired a first-round pick next year.
Isn't that the first time Gettleman's ever traded back?
Yeah,
I believe so. And he did it. And he did it twice. He did it in the second round also.
He was like, "Damn, this is pretty cool."
Yeah, look at this. I get more picks.
It's like, oh, I thought you just swapped. That was it.
The funniest thing to me, and from the Gettleman point of view of that, and then we could talk about from the Giants overall about like it's great to have 2 first-round picks next year. It's a bold move for Gettleman because if they have another bad season, and that would in turn mean that Daniel Jones is not the quarterback that they thought he was, Gettleman's gone, and he's not going to make that pick next year. So it was so weird to see him back up draft picks to future years when his job is on the line right now.
Yeah, maybe he thinks he has more security than.
That's crazy. Maybe they told him he does have more security, but if they flop again, it's all on Daniel Jones, obviously. But I feel like this year is the make or break year where you're going to know what you have in him. And if he's not it, Gettleman's gone, and he's just lining up draft picks for the new GM to come in and fix all his mistakes.
Hey, you gotta just go with the flow, I guess. You can't think might not be here next year, so I can't make this move, because if he is there next year, then it was a good move. And then you look back and say, maybe I should have done that.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But it's funny. It is funny that it's just like he made like this big deal for the first time ever, and it's just like he might not even be around to like reap the benefits of it.
Yeah, definitely ironic, but I guess good for him. He's thinking confidently that he will be around, and if he is around, I mean, regardless of now from the Gettleman spot for the Giants to have 2 first-round picks next year. I heard Dave Rothenberg's take on this today, which I thought was a great point. If Daniel Jones is not the quarterback that they hope he is, then they have loaded up assets to be able to go handpick their next quarterback and trade up if they have to get the top quarterback or somebody that they like, or even all of these proven quarterbacks that seem to be on the market these days, which we can talk about Aaron Rodgers. But they're setting themselves up pretty nicely if Daniel Jones is out the door.
Yeah, and I mean, there's really no excuses now for Daniel Jones. They have Kenny Galladay. They drafted this guy, Tony. They still have Sterling. Who's the other guy? I keep forgetting. There's Sterling Shepard, and then there's like another receiver they drafted that was like Slay. Wasn't he like Slayton? He was like a surprise, right? And like he's pretty good.
Yeah, he had a pretty good season. He had a pretty good year. I think it was 2 years ago. He kind of broke out, and then this past year, I'm not sure, but he's still there.
Okay, Shepard's hurt a lot, right?
Yeah.
So you have Kenny Galladay, so that's already better than anything they've had. You got Saquon Barkley coming back. Evan Ingram is whatever. He's still on the team.
He's still on the team. They signed Kyle Rudolph though.
Oh, he's a pretty good pickup. He's a very different player than Ingram. So
yeah, in all honesty, they surrounded him with talent, and now it's up to him to prove himself if he's the quarterback of the future for the Giants or not. Yep. It's up to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a big year for him. They didn't address the offensive line in the draft, which I thought was a little curious, but I guess they're confident in what they have. They have names on the line. They did invest Andrew Thomas. They invested in a draft pick in Will Hernandez a couple years ago. Nate Solder's coming back.
They still have Zeitler?
No, I don't think so.
Did they ever have Zeitler? Am I thinking?
Yeah. They did. I think they got rid of him or traded him, but they do have some names there, but they got to put it together. But I did think that they would have at least taken,
They have John Ross.
Yeah.
Wow. So their center is Nick Gates, and then they have Zach Fulton and Matt Peart.
Those aren't their starting linemen.
Oh, that's the names that are on. Shane Lemieux. I feel like I've heard that name.
Don't they have Andrew Thomas, Will Hernandez, and Nate Solder taking up 3 spots?
Yeah, yes. I don't know why this thing is it because Solder opted out, right?
Yeah.
So he's listed like last in the depth chart because he opted out. That's why.
Okay. Yeah, he's gonna play right tackle. But last time we saw him, he wasn't very good.
Yeah, but he was playing left tackle, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he can, have a little resurrection on the right side. I wouldn't bank on it. I think Andrew Thomas, it seemed like he turned it around a little bit after a shaky start. I still like him as a prospect. If he builds on how he finished, I think that's huge for them. Will Hernandez is still a young guy. I know I'm not going to pretend to know anything about the rest of them, but I've heard on the radio them talking about this guy Lemieux, so he must have been something for them, like played some games.
Not sure. I just thought I thought they'd want to shore it up a little bit or get some other guy.
Yeah. But, I get you.
Gettleman is rocking with it. But yeah, it's kind of a wait and see with the Giants and kind of figure out. It's all on, like we mentioned, on Daniel Jones, and then they're loading up for next year, which is always good to have 2 first-round picks.
Lemieux looks like this, so take that as you will.
Okay, that can go one of 2 ways.
Yeah. There's a lot of scenarios that can play out with that guy. One of them involves murder.
All right, moving along now. Let's reel it back in. I don't know, Igal, you were our draft expert this year. I know you paid a lot more attention than Richard and I did to prospects around the board. What were your who give me us a team that you think had a great draft, not named Jets or Giants or Chargers? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you have any,
you got to give me a second to think about it. Let's move.
Or give me a player that you really liked coming in.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
We'll cut this seamless answer.
While Igal's looking, I like that Bateman pick for the Ravens. Just like
necessary.
I didn't love that pick for them. I didn't love that pick. I thought he was 2nd-round talent, but what do I know? I don't know shit.
It seemed after reading, listening, doing all the things I do on him, it just seemed like the type of player that they really needed in that offense, like a good route runner, move the chains type of guy. Not just like a small athletic receiver that they think they can develop into someone. Like he already has good, technical skills that, it's just something they need in that offense. And I think they drafted another receiver.
They needed as many receivers as they can get. I think that they absolutely, whether Bateman is the guy or not, I think they absolutely needed a wide receiver at that spot. Because there was all those reports that came out that they were trying to sign wide receivers in the offseason, and none of them wanted to come there. So I guess the only way what you could do is then draft a guy for Lamar Jackson, because Hollywood Brown is not a number 1 receiver. I don't think that he's terrible, and he can be a solid number 2 maybe if he learns how to shore up those hands a little bit, because that's important when you're a wide receiver catching.
His rookie year, he was great.
Yeah, he started out really hot, but he just dropped a lot of passes last year. But yeah, if Bateman can be that number 1 guy for them, they were desperate for that really go-to receiver to help Lamar out.
Yeah, we'll see. But honestly, so I think my steal and like the best value in the first round was the Chicago Bears trading up to the 11th pick and getting Justin Fields.
Big move.
Big move. They definitely needed it.
And who else thought it was going to be Mac Jones?
Oh my God!
I know, I did.
Okay, if you didn't,
Bears, yes.
If you didn't think that Mac Jones was falling at 15 to the Patriots, you're dumb. That was the whole way. It was written in stone.
Once the Bears didn't pick him, I was like, obviously he's gonna. I didn't think anyone was trading up for him. And you know what? Just sorry to cut this whole Justin Fields conversation off. Thank God he did not go number 3 overall to the 49ers. That whole conversation was wild.
Mac Jones?
Yeah. And out of nowhere, for no reason, everyone's just like, they love Mac Jones. He's the guy.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. And then he fell all the way to 15.
You could have said the same thing about Trey Lance. Like, really, there's not a lot of people know about him. And, like, to be honest, the film that I saw, like, there wasn't much that I got out of it. He's just like this strong pocket passer who,
they're going to Mahomes him. They're going to start Jimmy G.
You think?
No, I don't think he's going to be Mahomes. They're going to start Jimmy G the whole year, I think. And then he's going to start next year. That would be, I think that's what he seems like a guy you take and develop with that arm strength, that arm talent, that size. I don't know if he's a week 1 starter for them, and I think that's the reason Jimmy Garoppolo's still on the team. But, we could all be dead by Sunday, as Kyle Shanahan would say. So what do I know?
Yeah, but I agree. That whole Mac Jones conversation to number 3, don't know where that came from. Obviously, it wasn't legitimate, and for good reason, because if you're considering taking a guy at 3 and he falls all the way to 15, it seemed like people really kind of knew where Mac Jones was talent-wise and was not really in consideration for those top 3 picks. And I was more surprised that Justin Fields wasn't going to be the guy for San Francisco than I was for Mac Jones, but it didn't even seem like they were even thinking about that. But to Igal's point, back to Justin Fields, the Bears trading up for him. It's a great pick, and I like to see them going in that direction, something different for them because they have struggled to find a quarterback, obviously, forever. And you just hope that the curse of the Bears quarterbacks doesn't continue with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got Nagy over there, you got Ryan Pace, so, a regime that has not, looked so hot these past few years. Obviously, their quarterback carousel is, you wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles, almost rolled into the season with Andy Dalton. So good for them. Maybe this can help turn them around. I pray they still have Allen Robinson, right? He didn't leave. So he's going to have a number one guy. They did Tevin Jenkins did fall to them in the second round, so I think that was a really good pick for them to put some block because their offensive line was fucking terrible. One of the worst I've ever seen until David Montgomery out of nowhere started going off. But I was reading or I was listening to a podcast and they were pointing out how the last those 5-6 games he went off, they played the 6 worst run defenses in the league, in those games. So it was yeah. So I don't know. Maybe he's still good, but I think the O-line definitely got a break there. But that's a good pick. A lot of people love that. They think they got really, they didn't give up too much to move up and get a good prospect.
Oh, listen, if he's the guy, then that's absolutely worth 1 first-round pick, and I think it was a 4th or something. But yeah, hopefully Fields can succeed there because we talked for a while about thinking Justin Fields would be a good fit for the Jets over Zach Wilson. Igal doesn't want to hear that, but Fields definitely has all of the talent to succeed if he's in the right system and. Don't know if Matt Nagy is the guy to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I don't think he's the right guy for him necessarily, but I think that they said that Andy Dalton was going to come out and be the starter right off the bat, just to
QB1.
Let him.
Remember that they tweeted that.
Whatever. That seems like a situation where they'll try to go with Dalton for the first 2-3 games, and then they'll just be like, "This is stupid."
Yeah,
just get Fields in there. Because a lot of we see it all the time now. It's tough. The Patrick Mahomes route is very rare. So these teams do rush to get these guys in there more times than not. So I do think that Fields will take over pretty soon.
Yeah, I think for the sake of their jobs. I'm sure they want to get him in there right away because, if you start the season off bad and then he comes in and you can't turn around, maybe if he plays well, it's enough for them to keep their jobs because it's all right, we try to not throw him into the fire. And then obviously they did good things with him. But, you make this move on another team, like you were talking about Gettleman before. Now you got Pace and Nagy. There's a lot of desperation around there.
Exactly.
So.
They went the opposite way of Gettleman. They were like, we have to do this right now. We have to buy ourselves some time.
I honestly didn't even realize it was the 2 teams that.
Yeah. So they were like, we are fucked if this doesn't work, but we have to take our shot here and hope that he's the guy. So we'll see. Now, one last thing I wanted to say about the draft, and then we can talk a little New York Knicks basketball. Speaking of the quarterbacks and where they all landed. Are you guys surprised that the Broncos didn't take a quarterback? They went corner. I felt like their secondary was a position of strength to begin with, but they pass up on Justin Fields and Mac Jones, and they stack up the defense again. Is that surprising, rolling with Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater?
Personally, I don't think that's so surprising just because I think they're in the mix for the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. Listen, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is staying in Green Bay. That's my own personal opinion. A lot of people around the league are saying that, he's 95% done with, done out of there. And I think that they're the top team to go and grab him. And I think that they knew that, even though they can't publicly say that, I think they knew that they have a good shot at grabbing him. So listen, do they think that they are going to get him and that they shouldn't think that because that's not a good plan to go off of. But I think there's a real good shot that he ends up over there. So,
yeah,
that
I definitely think they're in the running for him. I also think they maybe. I mean, look, I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl with Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater, but look how they won the Super Bowl when they did. You know, Peyton Manning was terrible, could barely throw the ball, but their defense was one of the best we've ever seen in recent memory. So I think they know that having a stout, great defense is your ticket to winning a Super Bowl. Having a great front seven, and their secondary, I remember, was just absolutely locked down. Mm-hmm. So I think
their secondary is real good now too. They signed Kyle Fuller in the offseason. They have Justin Simmons, who's an all-pro safety, Kareem Jackson safety, and then this rookie Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
They're stacked. I mean, that's why I was like they're picking a cornerback. But I mean, I guess just make sure that nobody can pass on you when you have Pat Mahomes in your division. It's obviously very important.
Yeah, and maybe they're trying to give if maybe they're staying in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, and they're saying if we don't get him, they picked that running back Javonte Williams, right?
Yeah, he's
so good. They have Williams, they have Gordon. I don't think they have Lindsey anymore.
No, he's in Houston.
Yeah, Williams, Gordon, Sutton's coming back, Judy, Hamler, if he can take a step as well. No, Fant is pretty good. Font, however you say it.
Yeah.
Too many FANTs around to know the pronunciations.
Really good roster. They have a really good roster on paper.
They're stacked up. They're definitely in a position where if they did trade for an Aaron Rodgers and sold the farm, that they're talented enough that it wouldn't hurt them right away. Like if you're trading for Aaron Rodgers, win now, move anyway.
Now, what would a trade for Aaron Rodgers even look like? Because you would think if that were to happen, it would have been for the number 9 pick. And like this year, like doesn't it hurt when the draft is over now? Like it's harder to find the pieces to
I mean, obviously I think the Packers are very serious about saying we don't want to trade him. And if it gets to a point where there's really no choice, then you're just gonna have to deal with it, get something else. But I think so close to the draft with that information coming out like that, you can't just make a decision, just like, oh, we got to trade him right now because the draft is right here. You try and mend that, you try and do whatever you can, and if you have to push it down the road to next draft to get some picks for him, obviously it'd probably be like multiple first round picks, second round pick, like.
Yeah,
mid-round picks.
Former MVP.
I think they would just trade every
reigning MVP
pick.
Reigning. That's what I.
They would just trade every pick of the next draft.
Yeah, I would do that. Fuck it.
Yeah, we didn't need a pick for a year. Fuck it.
It's also weird how adamant the GM is about not trading Aaron Rodgers. It's like, this is the same GM that traded up to pick a quarterback in the first round. How can he be that certain on not trading Aaron Rodgers when it's like you did make that pick? That's the future. Why not just speed it up a year if he wants to leave?
And hey, I mean, we've spoken about this. I think he is being look, the Jordan Love thing, absolutely disrespectful. Especially, they went to the NFC Championship. They got ragged by the 49ers. Aaron Rodgers for years wanting weapons, this and that. He has Devontae Adams, obviously. I thought that was very disrespectful. But also at the same time, I get it a little bit. He was coming off of not like an Aaron Rodgers year, like a lot of people are saying, he's way more conservative. He throws the ball away. He's not slinging it like he used to. He doesn't look the same. So you have that first round guy, you throw behind him. Maybe you think Aaron Rodgers is on his way out. And then this past year, he has what is arguably his best season ever. And, applause to that. I think that was awesome that he stuck it in their face like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know the reaction now to that first round pick, but I don't think it was that big of a deal that they picked a corner and I think they need to build the rest of the roster. And I think, what more does he want? Is he that, beat up about the whole Jordan Love thing, especially after another year where he played great and they went to the NFC Championship again, and the reason they lost is because they lost the eventual Super Bowl champions and they lost their starting left tackle.
They lost also that game against the Bucks because Kevin King was blowing coverages all over the field, and they drafted a cornerback. They needed that. Which that's fine. I mean, listen, I don't know how much I agree with Rodgers wanting out either, or the complaints about never picking weapons because they have an amazing offense. But it's just what's surprising is from the Packers front office perspective, they did pick Jordan Love. They have the succession plan in place. Why are they so against trading Aaron Rodgers, saying like, we're not even answering calls, this and that, when like they know it's going to be coming eventually? They have Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, I think, after the way he played last year, you see this window here, and what's more important than anything, what's more important than your succession plan for Aaron Rodgers is winning the Super Bowl. If they have to, sit Jordan Love on the bench till year 4 and fucking off him like the Patriots did with Jimmy G, and that's their chance at a Super Bowl, I'm sure they would take that and own up to the mistake, whatever, to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers if he's the one that's going to bring them there.
So then couldn't you trade Jordan Love now and give Rodgers an extension and then make up for it?
I guess, but they probably don't want to do that yet. Maybe, I don't know. It's confusing. I think they're stuck in a very terrible limbo there. I guess it's a good problem. There's a good problem to have, but it's not good.
Well, they fucked up. They shorted Aaron Rodgers stock thinking he was done, and then it blew up in their face.
Yeah, they sold Dogecoin.
Really? Yeah. They took an L on that.
57 cents at this moment, guys. Buy 57 cents.
Damn, that's going up and up and
up. So that's going to be an interesting situation. I don't know what they did the rest of the draft. Did they pick any weapons?
Probably
they did take I think they did take a wide receiver late.
Look, they still have one of the best receivers in the NFL, Devontae Adams. They still have Aaron Jones. They have A.J. Dillon coming into a second year. I think that's going to be a nice backfield. I think A.J. Dillon flashed a little bit. They have Lazard. They have Valdez Kingling. He's fine. He's a fine number 3. He's fast. Tanyan, decent tight end. So look, they're going to be fine. They just need their all-pro left tackle to come back, and they need to, build on what they did. And look, weren't they in that game with the Bucks, and then Aaron Rodgers didn't run that play into the end zone or whatever? Wasn't that a whole big thing?
And then they kicked a field goal, which also pissed him off.
Oh,
he took the ball out of his hands.
Yeah. Well, maybe he should have, when he had the ball in his hands, ran into the end zone with it.
True. I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is not he is not to blame for it as well, but
no.
It's not a clear cut he's 100% right. There's a little bit of prima donna going on there. But it's weird. But he ultimately, I think he will call the shots, and like you said, you think he's 95% done there. I don't see him coming back there either. Whether he's right or wrong, he seems like he has his mind made up.
Yeah, maybe he just wants to get to Denver, start smoking up that kush.
If you're the Denver Broncos, how lucky are you that you can't find a quarterback? Peyton Manning just decides he wants to go play there, win a Super Bowl. You can't find a quarterback again. Now Aaron Rodgers fuck it, let's go to Denver. They just keep falling into these all-time great quarterbacks.
Fucking ridiculous. One last shout out. Shout out to my other main team, the Carolina Panthers. Great draft.
Really? Who did they draft?
They got a top cornerback prospect, and then they got
Horn.
They got J.C. Horn in a division with some of the most stacked receiver rooms in the league. To add to that, they have a pretty good front seven. They got Brian Blaines, and I forgot the other guy's name, but he's good.
Listen, I'm rooting for Sam to do well, man. I really am. I'm not a Sam hater.
They got Terrace Marshall Jr. out of LSU. Great player.
Terrace or Terrence?
Yeah, Terrace. Yeah.
Somebody just forgot his hand on his birth certificate.
Reuniting with his LSU OC, Mr. Joe Brady.
Ooh,
and then they got the tackle out of BYU, Brady Christensen was his name.
Oh, he is good.
Yeah, he played with Mr. Wilson, our guy. So, they had a good first 3 picks. I like that for him. Hold on. We can move on from that, but I have to find out who that guy's name is.
I'm sure Matt Rule will fuck it up. Because I'm an anti-Matt Rule.
I hope for
he's Matt Rule.
I'm saying you're saying you're anti Matt Rule. You're Matt Drool.
No,
not you, Matt. Not that you are him. I'm saying you call him that.
Yeah,
you're Matt Drool team, not Matt Rule team.
Yeah, because he literally drools on himself in the games.
Oh, they got Derek Brown and Shaq Thompson and Gross Matos. Got a lot of young people on that. Wasn't Derek Brown the biggest bust ever, though?
I don't think he had a great year.
Gonna be a fun team. They have some weapons, man.
Too bad they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah. You got Robbie, Moore, Terrace, and then another Moore.
Just root for Sam Darnold to do well.
Christian McCaffrey's pretty good.
He's fine. All right, let's
What's our runtime at here?
I don't know. We've been recording
an hour in.
Almost like an hour, yeah.
All right,
we're going to move on from the NFL. I thought that was a very fun talk. We're really getting back to that season, man. Look at all this content we're getting. And now we're getting to the best part of the basketball season. It's going to lead us right into the NFL season, inching towards the playoffs. And the New York Knicks are about to have home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. If they can keep this up, I think they will. They're entrenched at that fourth spot due to play the Atlanta Hawks, who I think they can most certainly beat. But don't take them lightly because you never know. Good coach over there that turned them completely around. I mean, they start off like 8-17 or something crazy.
Yep. Right when they fired Lloyd Pierce, the Hawks really just
and they got McMillan, right?
Yeah.
And he was fired from the Pacers. I remember a lot of people around the league and around the league were really upset about that. They were like, "Why is he being fired?" You know, he's a great coach, and then he gets another shot, turns his team around.
Yeah, no, he's been great for them, and the Hawks are definitely. It's going to be a good matchup. If that is the matchup you get, if the Knicks can hold on to the 4 spot, which they have a very difficult 4-game stretch coming up right now. But if they are able to hold on to that 4 spot, that'd be a fun series. But definitely, I would be expecting the Knicks to win based on how they're playing. But 12-1 in their last 13 games. Julius Randle is playing at an all-NBA level right now. He was just a player of the month for April. And, I mean, even in your wildest dreams, Igal, the big-time headliner as he is, you did not think the Knicks would be a 4 seed in the Eastern Conference with 10 games
Not
left.
even in the playoff race, bro. Not even in the playoff race.
This is crazy.
I mean, a lot of us were saying it'd be nuts if they even got the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Wow, they do have a tough schedule right there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Listen, they're a tough team, man. They could play. They could play against all of them. They could. I
don't think they can beat anyone in a series, but they can beat anyone in any given night in a game.
But you know what? We don't have to play the West throughout the playoffs, just in the finals, baby.
It's all West run. Are they all the way? Yeah. West Coast run.
It's a West Coast trip.
Nuggets, Suns, Clippers. Oh, you're gonna play that's an easy win. The Lakers.
Yeah. And if you were to be told before the season started that with 7 games left, the Knicks and Lakers would have the same record.
Yeah.
I mean, I know LeBron and AD had been hurt, but you would have thought that they both were out the entire season to have the same record as the Knicks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even if you knew LeBron and AD were hurt before this, and like you figured that out before the season, someone said the Knicks will have the same record as them anyway, they'd be like, no.
Yeah. Not possible. It's all you got to credit, obviously, Julius Randle, and then the work that Thibodeau has done. That, I mean, I can't say enough about him. He could win. He could be coach of the year right now.
Yeah, I definitely think he deserves it. And the thing with Randle, and this is the thing I've been saying about him his entire career, because obviously he played for the Lakers and then he went to New Orleans. And, he's always been talented. He's always been like a good scorer. He's always had great handles for a guy his size. And I think he's always been able to have, he had the skill set to be a good defender, be a guy who can guard every position because he's so athletic for his size. He can guard a center. He's really strong. I mean, you don't want him banging center. You don't want him banging with a center the whole game, but if he has to play them for a few possessions, he can. He can switch on to a 1 because he's that athletic. He can switch on to anyone. But he needed a coach who could reel him in and really use him and tell him how he fits with an offense.
Coach him up, really.
Coach him up. Yeah, he never had David Fizdale was his coach and Alvin Gentry and all these and Luke Walton,
yeah, that's
it's not even that. I think it's personally he took on this leadership role,
mm-hmm.
And Tom Thibodeau told him yo, you're gonna be the guy, and he's never had that responsibility. So I just feel in the past, it didn't help him develop the way that he should, and honestly, just Tom Thibodeau, man,
So I think he was kind of the guy last year on the team, but he just played completely differently, and the entire team had a different mentality because it was a different coach, And, now Thibodeau has instilled this whole, hard-nosed defensive mentality into everyone. And Randle, he's always been like a tough guy. So I think he was the perfect fit to, be the leader of that and, grow into that. And he improved. Like, I'm not going to give it – he improved himself too. Like, his jumper is complete. His playmaking, like his passing, like everything. He doesn't just spin on every shot. He's not the Beyblade anymore.
You know what's so nice to see is that all these guys are just feeding off each other and it just creates more success,
Yeah. No, the team is gelling perfectly right now. And to the point about Randall, I mean, this guy last year, like Knicks fans, would you talk about the Beyblade and the black hole? Like, he was not looking too great in the eyes of Knicks fans. Like, after the end of last season, like, he was just a guy who would put his head down and do too much sometimes. And the biggest difference this year, obviously, is the shooting, because his three-pointer is up from 28% to 43%, which is crazy in one season. And he's doubling his assists, which is just showing the leadership and the playmaking that he's willing to do is making a world of difference. And I was skeptical earlier in the season because of how down we were on him last year. But, I mean,
I'll be the first one to say, I'll definitely be the first one to say during the offseason of last year, like, especially when we drafted Obi Toppin, I was all for trading him. I didn't want any part of him. I wanted him off the team. He was just the biggest ball hog, just chucked up random shots like J.R. Smith.
Yep.
And he didn't help the team.
Oh, and all Knicks fans had that sentiment that he was holding the younger guys back and like all this, the development.
Yeah.
It's crazy how he flipped the switch, and he's hands down most improved player of the year.
Easily won it.
Yeah, he might make an All-NBA team.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And then I also want to give a little credit to Mr. AJ. I think he's been playing very well for them. I know Matt not fully sold yet, but
really, I'd love to hear that.
Well, it helps. I'm not fully sold. It helps that he doesn't have to be the guy. That Julius Randle is the guy, and he's able to just play a little bit more freely. But he's had a very good second half of the season here, and it looks like he's coming into his own. So that's good for number 2.
He's really coming into his own as a 3-point shooter too. He's shooting over this 13-game stretch where they're 12-1 or whatever, shooting 42% from three. He's averaging 18 points per game. And then in just the last, what do we got here? Hold on, I just had it. RNG. The last 30 games, he's averaging 19 points per game, and he's shooting 43% from the field. And I feel like these last 20, 30 games is when the Knicks really started to ramp it up and show that they're, a legit team. And, he started off the season pretty rough, and I think he's definitely turned it around. And I agree with you, Matt. He hasn't shown yet that he could ever be the guy or anything, but I think anyone has to be happy that he's at least, contributing to winning basketball at this point, and he's not, a complete and total joke on the court. Like, he can be out there. He plays good defense for them. He can hit the 3-ball. And I think it's good for his development that he's learning, ways to play off the ball because – and catch and shoot this and that and play off of someone else, because I feel like he's always even coming out of college, he was good at getting to the basket and stuff like that. So it's good to add to your arsenal, and maybe as the years come, he'll become one of those creators, playmaker type of guys. But right now he's doing what the team's got to do to win, and that's again the coach. He's getting these guys to buy in that it's not all about one guy; it's all about everyone together, except for Elfrid Payton. Still thinks he's the best player in the NBA.
No, it is great to see, and it's even more impressive. And credit to obviously to RJ Barrett. You said it's good to not have a complete joke of a first-round draft pick, which, given where the Knicks are right now, and the previous picks that they have made with Frank Ntilikina and Kevin Knox, who are legitimate jokes that can't even get on the court. You would think that, missing on those early lottery picks really sets a franchise back, but to be where they are right now off the backs of guys like Julius Randle and Derrick Rose is really a testament to the team buying into the system and playing well behind those guys. And Obi Toppin, I don't even know where to start with that guy. He can't get on the court either. The drafting has not been the Knicks' specialty the past couple of years.
They definitely should have picked Halliburton. And then a lot of people say they wouldn't have picked quickly, but if they did somehow settle on both of them, that would have been some backcourt of the future you had coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And Quickly's cooled off a little bit, but he's definitely looks like he'll be, the starting point guard next year.
He showed that he's got the talent. It always happens with a rookie. People sort of figure you out. You go into the offseason. He's going to get some playoff experience as a 20-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, however old he is, and that's really valuable. Is he 20 years old? I know nothing about him. But he's a really good shooter. That's obviously very valuable.
He's 21.
21. Oof, career's almost over. So they got, because Randall too, he's 26, 27. He's still about to enter the prime of his career, only getting better still. Then you got Barrett, he's 21. You got Quickly, he's 21. You got more draft picks next year. You got Rose off the bench. You got not Obi Toppin, but he's there.
Derrick Rose has been so good too.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Once they added him,
and who's been really good for them? Nerlens has been really good for them. He's essentially the same thing that Mitch Robinson is, but I think he has a better feel and IQ for the game at this point, just because he's a veteran. But they're both long athletic shot blockers. I really think he's the anchor of that defense, and they'll have Mitch Robinson back next year, so that's another young guy you throw into the mix
if they don't trade him. But honestly, underrated
LeBron
guy on that Knicks team is Reggie Bullock to me.
Oh, I forgot about him.
He can knock down that 3-point shot, man.
Yep, I miss him.
Literally whenever I know Randall hits the big shots, but whenever the Knicks fall down in the third quarter, they're up 10 and now it's a 4-point lead, he hits the big shot.
And he's a solid defender too. And whenever I watch the game, the announcers always talk about it, he's a solid perimeter defender, and you can just notice it. He's I feel like his arms are really long. And he's always pretty intense out there. I fucking wanted the Lakers to re-sign him, bro. They never re-signed the players that they should re-sign. They're just we need JaVale. I'm no, you should probably keep the good 3-point shooter. But no.
Brook Lopez. Yeah, that was a mistake.
God. Yeah.
But so you have the Knicks now, and we'll see where they stand at the end of this 4-game stretch. Like I said, hopefully they can hold on to that 4 seed and having a home playoff series in MSG. We have to go to a game. I think we have to.
This is what would be the greatest. They get to the second round and they play the Nets. And then at that point, you're later into this pandemic. Maybe they open up the capacity a little bit, get some more fans in there, and then we go to every game.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting my second dose tomorrow, guys. So I should be good.
We're all going to be fully vaxxed up, baby.
Yes, sir. Good luck to you, Igal. How much you think would go for a Nets second round playoff ticket? It's got to be $300.
I would spend that.
Knicks versus Nets. I think you have to. I
mean, this is with the way the Lakers are looking. They're not going to win a play-in game, but if it was Nets Lakers finals, I would have to go to one of the games at Barclays. That would be $1,000.
Yeah, but that's a lifetime moment.
Yeah, I would have to
go. But when it is Nets Clippers, we can go. We go.
I'm down. Barclays, send it down the street.
Mm-hmm. But no, we would have to. If it's Nets Knicks, you got to spend that extra money to go to MSG for the playoff game. Come on.
I would spend $300 something on that.
Yeah, because I'm thinking MSG would obviously be more expensive than Barclays, but
the thing that makes it worse is the capacity. So the tickets are more expensive because there's less of them.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm hoping, second round, get a little more because they're already. I don't know if this is going to change it at all, but they're doing the whole curfew is ending or whatever this month. So we'll see how that does with the capacity.
Yeah.
What's the percentage at right now for the games?
I think they can. It's what is it, 20%?
Something like that. I think maybe the Yankee games have 10,000 fans, but that's outdoors, so I don't know if that's a little bit more.
The good thing is though that the indoor stadiums, the fans kind of their presence is felt louder, a little more. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, great things about the New York Knicks right now, man. It's so much fun to tune into the games and actually be competitive and enjoy the game that you're watching.
Yeah, it is
something
cool.
We haven't had for a long time.
I actually I birthed their season because I watched their preseason games and I said they were nasty.
Okay, well, I'll give you credit for that as long as it happened.
I just want to say one thing about my pathetic team before we hop off. And I just want to reach out. I know he's a big listener of the show, Mr. LeBron James.
He does tune in.
Does tune in. He told us. I know I'm not blaming you for the season, man. I know you had an unfortunate ankle injury. Solomon Hill, we're coming for him. Don't worry, we got people coming for him. But what are you saying, man? What are these quotes? What are these things you're saying in the media? All this negative energy. It is just filling me with dread. It's making all the fan base worried. I don't know how. I'm sure in the locker room you're a much more positive guy. I'm sure everyone looks up to you, listens to you. But in the media, you're coming out here, nothing matters if I'm not out there 100%, which is true. But, I think you could be a little more, subtle about that instead of, straight up just like saying about your team that they have no shot without you. And then, complaining about the playing game because you're obviously just salty that you're losing. And, whoever came up with that shit needs to be fired. Like, bro, there was a reason they came up with it, and the exact reason from the pandemic last year, the bubble, the shortened season this year, whatever. You need to have more positive energy out there for the team's sake, for the fan base's sake, and for just everyone's sake. It's rough to watch, and I think last night's win, seeing Anthony Davis, finally have that explosion back. He really looked like his old dominant self. That block at the end was absolutely nuts. Really cool to see that from him. I can't believe he did. My eyes couldn't believe my eyes.
He came out from 5 rows behind the basket.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then he got all hyped, and that was really cool to see. And that's the energy we need, and you need to have it. I understand you're frustrated. I understand you want to be out there. You came back, your ankle's sore again. That sucks, but we need you. We need you to be positive.
It is very odd to hear what he's saying. He seems just miserable.
He seems like he wants them to lose. It's because he hates Schroeder because he's better than him.
It's between you and Cornfield, everybody hates everybody on this team.
No, he's just like Davis hates Drummond. I'm just like they just hugged. No, he can't play as much Drummond. He's really bad at D. I think he's fine in spurts. I think he'd be fine with LeBron, but it's noticeable when Gasol is out there with Davis. He banged like 4 threes yesterday. Like they can't like sag in the paint, and then Davis just takes it to the basket. No one can guard him, especially on that team. They had like Aaron Gordon guarding him. Like he's just gonna bully him, and he wasn't just settling for jumpers. Like he was going to the rack. He was getting there. But when Drummond's in the game. And it always seems like they try to run some like 2-man little game, and Davis finds Drummond, and he just drops the ball, or they turn it over. Like always with them, I don't know if it's a lack of chemistry or if it's just not a good fit at all. But we'll see. But that's my message to big fan of the show, King James.
Well, before we sign off, let's bring it to the air now. I don't know if you heard us. Oh no, I think you had left by the time at Alex's on Friday night. Richard and I have a little wager.
Yes, we do.
We have $100 on the line that I bet him that the Lakers are not even going to make the Western Conference Finals based on their recent performance. Richard is still confident in that. It doesn't sound like it to me.
This guy's been talking shit about them.
This was before they got blown out by the Raptors 2 days later. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of a blow, but then, they come out, they beat the Nuggets, and I think we're back. We're NBA champs.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's tough because it's a tough Western Conference. Like there's a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, we say it every year, and like LeBron just makes it to the finals every year. So I prove me until he proves me wrong. I'm on LeBron.
Yeah. I always see this tweet pop back up whenever like something happens with the LeBron team. And it's just this guy, and like everyone always posts it, and he's like, the stretch during the year where the LeBron James team sucks, and everyone talks about how the sky is falling and everything's over, and then they go to the finals anyway. Which I don't like. Look, there's a tough road. They look like all out of sorts, and it makes sense. Davis and LeBron haven't played, new additions to the team. Guys in and out of the rotation, who fits, who doesn't. I get it. And like Schroeder, even when he plays with LeBron and Davis, it was noticeable how much. Less of an impact he had because he doesn't handle the ball. LeBron James handling the ball. So we'll see. They got to figure it out, and they don't have a lot of time to do it. But I do. You got to sometimes just have a little faith.
I'm just gonna I'm just gonna redo all of my Tom Brady takes with LeBron James and continue to be wrong and not learn my lesson. And then one day I'll be right, and it'll be all worth it.
It's when he's retired is when you're going to be right.
Yeah, he's going to retire, and you're going to be like, he ain't winning this year.
Yeah, that's right. But no, you are right, though. Every year, this is just the drama that comes with a LeBron James team. And I think he kind of likes it a little bit, the way he's stoking the flames in the media. I think that maybe this is what motivates him to get it done in the playoffs every year. But it certainly is a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, I think the team just needs a few more Professor Kuzma championship lessons, and then we'll be in good shape here. But I think that's a wrap for the show, unless you guys have some more to add. Any little snippets? Anything? What happened with the Yankees-Astros? Yanks win?
Yanks won.
So, can you give me a little rundown quick before we end? What happened with the catchers? They threw at their catcher or something?
No, it was a play at the plate where they just kind of collided. It wasn't like it wasn't one of those retaliations or like fights or anything. There was just a play where Odor was coming home off an error, and the first baseman threw the catcher, like the ball, into the running path, and they kind of just the runner's knee hit the catcher's head. It was completely accidental, though. It wasn't like a fiery moment.
Oh, okay. Was there any? Was there booze? Loud booze?
A lot of booze. A lot of "fuck Altuve" chants, which I loved.
Nice.
You could hear it through the TV.
Also,
but we got the dub. That's what's most important.
Yeah.
Also, one more thing that I wanted to add. How didn't the league the NHL suspend Tom Wilson for that hit on Artemi Panarin? That is ridiculous.
He almost murdered the man.
I heard about this on the K show today.
$5,000 fine.
Do I got to look this up?
Yeah, the guy didn't have his helmet on, and he threw him to the ice and then punched him in the face.
I've never seen something like I thought for sure he was suspended. And this guy Tom Wilson has a record of doing this to multiple. He's done it to Islanders.
He's the
I
worst.
can't even tell you how many times.
Every game. He's gotten suspended 5 times in his career. He's been in the league for 6 seasons.
Guy's got to get kicked out.
I know, but that was crazy. $5,000 fine, no suspension. The Rangers and Capitals play each other tomorrow night, so that'll be interesting.
He like legit slammed him on his head.
Yeah.
It was real bad.
Ice.
$5,000 fine, dude.
Yeah. And the punch afterwards, he's lucky that I think Panarin's shoulder landed first and kind of cushioned the blow a little bit, but he could have literally just been like unconscious on the ice. He's out for the season, Panarin. There's only 4 games left.
What happened? Did he have a concussion?
Yeah, I think they're just holding him out because they don't need to play him because they're eliminated, but he's out for the last 4 games.
But yeah, I think the Rangers did the right thing though. They called out the safety official.
Too.
Yeah,
never really see that.
Never, dude.
They were like, this guy is unfit for his job.
Yeah, and it's true. If you're just not gonna see that and feel like this guy deserves to be out of the, or it's just suspended, at least through the playoffs or the first round of the playoffs.
It's not good. We're gonna need the Islanders to have our backs here and fuck them up in the playoffs.
That's nuts.
Finals.
Wow, he really I only saw a slow motion one, but now I'm watching. Oh shit!
Yeah, and even on Buchnevich too, on that same scuffle, he literally had his stick on the back of Buchnevich's head, holding him down on the ice.
Man. He's just a dirty player.
Yeah. Rich, that guy does it every game. He does shit. He's been suspended 5 times.
Yeah, I heard them talking about it on the K show today. Some guy calls in. He's like, "There's only one thing they can do. They just got to come out and they got to slap him in the wrist and break his wrists. It's the only. It's the only
way. Fuck it."
All
right, that's our show for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. This was a great one. This is one of our most packed shows in a long time.
Yeah,
one
of our only shows in a long time.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when the content is dry.
Yeah,
we'll
be back more consistently. We're gonna go back to our Tuesday night recording sessions.
Yep. All right. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. This is Richard Lyons signing off. You guys have anything to say?
Let's go play some Fort.
Good night, everyone, or good day.